Elections are coming up in November, which will be here before you know it. Californians are faced with an array of propositions every election cycle, many of which can be confusing and sometimes require research to fully understand. Have you wondered why Californians are asked to vote on these complex issues? In today's Did You Know? We have the answer. California propositions have been on our ballot since the beginning of the 20th century. They're a part of an innovative process that's been described as the most powerful in the world. The proposition system was established by Hiram Johnson, who ran for California governor in 1910 on a platform based on opposition to special interests. He won, and in a special election held on October 10th, 1911, California became the 10th state to adopt a ballot initiative process. Johnson didn't want the state legislators to have the ability to change the past referendums, even if they were just simple improvements. So he made sure that any changes would need to go back through the process for a vote by the people. That's why you see sometimes propositions that look similar to the ones on previous elections. In November, voters are going to have 7 propositions to vote on. Spirit of Innovation invited Adam Ruiz, Government Affairs Director of the Southwest California Legislative Council, to explain the propositions and the council's vote recommendation as they relate to small businesses. But remember, it's your vote that counts here at Spirit. It's about sharing information and encouraging you to have your voice heard through your vote. Over to you, Adam.
Thank you, Celeste. The Southwest California Legislative Council is a chamber coalition focusing on sustainable job growth and advocacy for our region. Our positions on the current referendums are based on our strategic initiatives and what we believe is best for the business community in our area. Prop 30 raises income taxes by 1.75% for individuals making over $2 million a year to fund programs that encourage people to switch over to zero-emission vehicles. Those who favor the proposition argue that it addresses air pollution as a serious climate issue. The Legislative Council opposes Prop 30 since we believe new taxes drive away job creators and that zero-emission vehicles are not the solution to climate challenges. Prop 29 calls for new restrictions on dialysis clinics, including a requirement that a doctor, nurse practitioner, or physician assistant be on site during all treatment hours. If this proposition sounds familiar, you're right. The union supporting this measure has tried to pass dialysis center regulations twice before. The Legislative Council opposes Prop 29 because we believe it will increase the cost of dialysis. Prop 28 provides extra school funding for arts and music program and requires the state to set aside a share of its revenue, approximately $800 million to $1 billion a year, to go to arts education classes, with a large portion of this money being reserved for low-income schools. The Legislative Council supports Prop 28 as we believe there is a desperate need for music and art programs. Additionally, there could be opportunities for new jobs as these programs expand. California's current Reproductive Privacy Act states that every individual possesses a fundamental right to privacy regarding their own reproductive decisions, and that the state cannot deny an individual's right to an abortion. The passing of Proposition 1 will specifically enshrine the right to abortion and contraception into the state constitution. Those in favor of the amendment say it's needed to protect reproductive rights. Opponents are concerned that it doesn't include explicit restrictions on late-term abortions. In 2020, Governor Gavin Newsom signed a bill, SB 793, banning the sale of all flavored tobacco products. Prop 31 seeks to overturn SB 793. So what that means is a yes vote will ban the sale of flavored tobacco products, while a no vote will keep the sale of flavored tobacco legal in California. And finally, Props 26 and 27 are 2 initiatives that support legalized gambling. Jacob Mejia, the Public Affairs Director for Pechanga Development Corporation, is here to explain what they're about. Jacob, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Would you be able to explain to us a little bit about what Proposition 26 is all about?
Happy to. Prop 26 is really simple. It just allows additional games at tribal casinos, such as craps and roulette, and in-person sports wagering. It also allows in-person sports wagering at 4 licensed horse race tracks throughout the state. It's pretty straightforward. Tribes support this because it allows them to add another amenity to their mix of games that they already offer. Number one. Number two, this is going to result in more jobs being created, more economic impact to surrounding communities, and I think here in Southwest Riverside County, folks have seen the thousands of jobs that have been created by tribal gaming. In the view of the tribes and the broad coalition that is in support of Prop 26, this is the safest, most responsible way to authorize sports wagering in California.
Now, what would happen if it doesn't pass?
So, first off, under Prop 26, the nonpartisan legislative analyst anticipates or projects that tens of millions of dollars in new revenue will be raised. Those monies would not materialize for programs like wildfire prevention, public safety, public education, etc. Second, tribal leaders have committed that as part of the agreements that they will reach with the state to allow sports wagering, they will basically be doubling the amount of revenues that go to non-gaming and limited gaming tribes. If 26 did not pass, those revenues for non-gaming tribes and for the state would be jeopardized.
Now, jumping over to Prop 27, can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Prop 27 is a deceptive measure that is sponsored, written, and 100% sponsored by out-of-state online gambling corporations. What they're trying to do with Prop 27 is essentially unleash the biggest expansion of online gambling in U.S. history, turning every cell phone, every laptop, every gaming console, every tablet into a gambling device. It's deceptive the manner in which these gambling corporations have tried to sell the measure to the voters, trying to pitch it as a solution to homelessness, because if it were a function of money, the problem would have already been solved, given the billions of dollars that the state has spent, and the problem's only gotten worse. So that's first. Second, it harms tribal self-sufficiency. These companies only need to partner with one tribe. It's effectively a race to the bottom. 90% of the revenues flow out of state, okay? 8.5% would be left over for homelessness, and less than 2%, 1.5% for the tribes. If it were even to materialize, I say that because these guys that wrote the measure wrote for themselves some really big loopholes that allow massive tax deductions from their burden.
Now, what would happen if Prop 26 and Prop 27 both get enough yes votes to pass?
I've quipped that a lot of lawyers are going to make a lot of money. And the reason being is because they effectively try to put in place 2 separate regulatory regimes. Tribal gaming is regulated at 3 levels, the tribal, state, and federal level. And they're trying to marry up an existing regulatory framework with this new regulatory framework for online gaming, effectively. And so we just think that they are in conflict and inevitably will ensue in lawsuits.
You've broken it down very simple for us. I appreciate you taking the time to come in and explain a little bit more about Prop 26 and Prop 27.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Adam and Jacob, for sharing information on these propositions. These are our guests' personal views and not the opinions of Spirit of Innovation. Remember, it's your vote that counts. California propositions are complex, and we invite you to dig deeper and learn more about these issues. Head to our website where we'll provide helpful links to get you on your way.